Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss The World's End, starring Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, Patty Considine, Martin Freeman, Eddie Marsan, and Rosamund Pike, and directed by Edgar Wright. Now, I do remember hearing about this movie, and I did see it in theaters, and I hear it was a good movie, but what's my thinking of it? Well, let's get into the review and find out, shall we? We open with Simon Pegg narrating about what he and his friends did back in a small town called Newton Haven, where they graduated and lived until the year 1990, where they drank a lot of beer, and that was a good sequence, I thought. Peter is now working at a car dealership because Gary King, played by Simon Pegg, and that sounds mediocre, maybe? I never was into cars, so please forgive me. And Steven is a construction worker, which sounds boring, but it's a nice way to see him as an adult. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind construction workers. It's just, I don't have anything against them either, I'll put it that way. Oliver, or as they call him, Old Man, played by The Hobbit's Martin Freeman, is a real estate agent, and he's a good character in this movie. Andy, played by Nick Frost, is probably the best character in this whole movie because he has an arc, and how much he hates Gary to this day, and doesn't want to go drinking but drinking water. I love the way how the editing is fast-paced with the drinks. First, I know how they pour 4 beers and 1 water. It's pretty clever how they did that editing shot. Sam, played by Rosamund Pike, is Oliver's sister who has a sexual intercourse with Gary when they were younger, and Steven had the hots for her. Like, she has a dilemma to choose between Steve or Gary. And that was lover versus lover cliche, handled very well, by the way. Gary made a lie about his mother dying, and then we find out she's not, by Andy. Was rather obvious for a movie lie, and next thing you know, he lied. A little too obvious, let me say. Then we get into the robots with the blue goo. What is this blue goo that they keep, like, spitting out of from the robots? Is that the robot's blood? Because it was never explained. And it turns out the whole town was half human, half robot, as I'm going to call them throughout this whole movie. And they call him something different. I just didn't know at the time. And that's an odd plot for this movie that never gets explained until the end, I guess. I'm just going to put it out there, guys. This is not as funny as Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz, because I didn't laugh as much as those two. Oliver turns out to be a half man, half robot, and that was a little sad for a beer comedy. Pierce Brosnan, the former James Bond, let me say, plays Mr. Shepard, and he's a good presence, especially after James Bond, until he turns out to be half man, half robot. Poor Peter is transformed into half man, half robot, and that was sad. Oh my god, why do I keep bringing up those damn robots? The robotic voice with the bright light is a weird moment of a strange thing to control a town. Like, a town's not controllable, folks. Just don't let a robot tell you what the fuck to do. Alright, it's time for the rating, because I don't have anything else to say about it. I'll give this movie a 7.6 out of 10. Before I sign off, I'm going to just say, it's not as good as Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz, which is a shame, because I thought those two were the funniest of all Edgar Wright's movies. And this was an odd plot to tell for this movie, and I will be back next week with Baby Driver. And until next time, fuck-a-doodle-doo!